What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks straight into the lion's den of daytime TV and refuses to back down? What happens when a seasoned talk show host goes too far and comes face to face with someone who won't be intimidated? Today, we're diving into the explosive confrontation that left an entire studio stunned and millions of viewers speechless. This is the story of how Denzel Washington was kicked off The View after a heated clash with Joy Behar, one that nobody saw coming. Before we break it all down, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Should celebrities speak their truth on live TV, even when it goes against the mainstream narrative? Now let's get into what really happened that day. The energy in the View studio was electric as Denzel Washington stepped onto the set. The audience erupted in applause, thrilled to see the two-time Academy Award winner in the flesh. He moved with calm, effortless confidence, that trademark smile lighting up the room as he waved to the crowd. But beneath the cheers, nobody realized what was about to unfold. This wasn't going to be a light promotional interview. This would become one of the most controversial moments in the show's history. Welcome back to The View. I'm Joy Behar, she announced with a wide smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. And we're here with the incredible Denzel Washington. Thanks for having me, Joy, Denzel replied, settling into his seat with a smooth, practiced grace. Always a pleasure. Whoopi Goldberg, Sarah Haynes, and Sonny Hostin all greeted him with smiles. The vibe was warm, at least for now. But Joy, she had something else in mind. So Denzel, she began, her tone polite but already edging into hostile territory. You've been in Hollywood for decades, and you've always been vocal about your faith and your values. Denzel gave a slow nod. That's right. But don't you think some of those traditional values, she pressed, are a little outdated in today's world? His eyebrows lifted slightly, an early warning signal. Outdated. Can you be more specific? You know, Joy said, leaning in. Your views on family, marriage, society. Don't you think it's time to evolve with the times? The studio fell quiet. This wasn't the softball question most guests got in the opening minutes. But Denzel didn't flinch. I believe in timeless principles, he said coolly. Respect, family, accountability. I don't think those have an expiration date. So Joy wasn't satisfied. But don't you think your conservative views can come across as problematic? Especially in today's climate of progress and inclusion. Denzel's voice stayed measured, but you could hear the steel underneath. I believe in dignity for every person, but I also believe in personal responsibility, strong families, and community values. Those aren't conservative. They're just right. That's when Joy made it personal. Some people might say your success in Hollywood has made you forget where you came from. That you're out of touch with the struggles of everyday people. The shot landed like a punch. The audience tensed. Even the other hosts looked stunned by the bluntness of the attack. Denzel's jaw tightened. His smile faded, but his voice never wavered. I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York. My dad was a minister. My mom worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. I haven't forgotten anything. In fact, it's those exact values that got me here. Success doesn't change you. It reveals you. Joy doubled down. But your wealth, your platform, it does give you privilege. Don't you think that can make your views come off as tone deaf? Denzel turned to face her squarely. What's tone deaf? He said, voice low and steady. Is acting like having success means you no longer have the right to speak on values. I've earned what I have, and I've used my platform to help others. I won't apologize for standing on principle. The tension was now undeniable. The crowd was silent. The co-hosts exchanged nervous glances. Whoopi leaned forward, trying to gently redirect. But Joy wasn't finished. You've also been very open about your Christian faith, she said, her tone now openly confrontational. Don't you think some of those beliefs, especially the more traditional ones, can be harmful to certain communities? That's when everything shifted. Maybe it's time to consider that some of the beliefs you hold so tightly might actually be part of the problem. That was the line that changed everything. Denzel's eyes didn't flash. They ignited. The energy in the studio shifted instantly. People sat up. The air itself seemed to pause. When he spoke, his voice was low, steady, and carved from stone. "Joy," he said. "I've sat here quietly while you questioned my values, my faith, my community, even my right to believe what I believe. But I won't sit here and let you suggest that I am what's wrong with America." A stunned silence followed, thick enough to choke on. You could hear the creak of a chair. A cough from the audience died in someone's throat. Joy's face twitched. Surprise, then irritation, then something sharper. "Colder." "Denzel," she said with a mocking smile, "I think you're being a little sensitive. I'm just trying to have an honest conversation about how certain traditional viewpoints don't serve everyone in a modern society." "Sensitive," Denzel echoed, and this time there was steel in his tone. He leaned forward slightly, a storm building behind his eyes. "You've spent the last 10 minutes dissecting everything I stand for. My beliefs, my culture, my faith, and now that I've pushed back, I'm the sensitive one." The other hosts froze. Whoopi glanced off camera toward the producers. Her eyes practically begged someone to intervene. Sarah looked like she wished she could melt into her seat. Sunny was locked on Joy, brows furrowed in disbelief. "I'm not attacking you," Joy said defensively, though her voice had lost its edge. "I'm asking if maybe, just maybe, your beliefs could be harmful to some communities. That's not personal. That's journalism." "No," Denzel snapped. "That's not journalism. That's an agenda. Journalism would mean asking about my work, my life, my story. What you're doing is trying to dismantle my faith, Lev, on national television." The Joy's eyes narrowed. "I have every right to ask hard questions. That's what we do here. The View isn't a press junket, and I have every right to defend myself when those questions come loaded with contempt," Denzel said, voice rising but still under tight control. "What I won't do is sit here and pretend you're coming from a place of curiosity. You're not. You're coming from judgment." The silence in the studio had turned eerie. The audience wasn't just quiet. They were spellbound. This wasn't movie star Denzel anymore. This was a man who had been pushed too far. Joy gave a harsh, joyless laugh. "Denzel, maybe if you had thicker skin." That was it. Denzel leaned in, slowly, his stare piercing. "Let me tell you something about thick skin," he said, voice now calm in a way that made everyone recoil slightly. "I've had to survive in this business for over 30 years. I've faced racism, stereotypes, people trying to reduce me to a category, to a threat, to a box they could check and dismiss. I've fought that every step of the way, and I've never let it break me. So don't talk to me about thick skin." Joy tried to interrupt, but her words faltered. "I'm not attacking your faith." "Yes, you are," Denzel said sharply. "You're trying to disguise it as a conversation. But let's be real. You're not trying to understand. You're trying to condemn." "I'm pointing out," she said shakily, "that some religious beliefs can be dangerous. And now you're the one being sensitive." Denzel fired back. "You accuse me of being defensive, and maybe I am. But I'm not here trying to tear you down. I haven't questioned your beliefs, your values, your right to speak. I haven't made you justify your place at this table." Joy's face was flushed now. "My beliefs don't hurt people," she shot back. "My values don't exclude anyone or make them feel unwelcome. And neither do mine," Denzel replied, unwavering. "My faith teaches love. It teaches dignity. It teaches compassion for the stranger and responsibility to your neighbor. If you see that as dangerous, then maybe the danger isn't in my beliefs. Maybe it's in your assumptions." The hosts looked stunned. Even the crew behind the cameras had stopped moving. The air was thick, the moment poised like a blade on the edge of collapse. Whoopi finally broke the tension. "Okay," she said gently. "Maybe we all take a breath and talk about something else." But Joy wasn't ready to let it go. "No, Whoopi, this is the conversation." And it was far from over. Joy leaned forward, voice calm but loaded. "Denzel, you say your faith teaches love. But what about the parts of Christianity people find judgmental, even harmful? What about those who've been hurt by it?" Denzel's jaw tensed. He stared at her. A long, deliberate silence. "You want me to defend every misstep ever made in the name of faith?" On this show, his voice was steady, but the steel underneath was unmistakable. "You want me to answer for everyone who's twisted a message of love into hate?" Joy didn't flinch. "I'm asking you to admit that maybe, just maybe, some of your beliefs aren't as loving as you think they are." Denzel's eyes sharpened. "And I'm telling you, you don't get to decide what love is in someone else's faith. Not based on your biases, not from your perch behind that desk." The word biases hit like a slap. Joy's face froze, then flushed. "Are you calling me prejudiced?" Denzel didn't hesitate. "I'm calling it like it is. You've made up your mind that faith is dangerous. That tradition is the enemy. And that people like me, who believe in both, are part of the problem." Joy stood abruptly, her chair screeching across the floor. "I'm not prejudiced against religion. I'm saying some religious beliefs need to be questioned, especially when they affect laws and lives." Denzel rose too, slow and firm. "Then question them, with respect, with sincerity, but don't disguise contempt as curiosity. Don't pretend this is a conversation when it's clearly an ambush." Joy's voice rose, sharp and defensive. "Maybe some of those traditional values are exactly what's holding us back. Maybe they're doing more harm than good." The audience gasped. Even the other host sat frozen. Denzel stared at her, eyes burning, calm but coiled. "Joy, I've tried to be respectful. I've tried to engage, even though you came in with an agenda. But I won't stand here and let you declare my faith a danger to society." A Joy's voice cracked with anger. "Then maybe you should leave. If you can't handle being challenged, maybe you shouldn't be here." Silence. Electric. Denzel turned to the co-hosts, still frozen, stunned. Then back to Joy. "You think this is a challenge. I've been questioned by people a lot sharper than you, but never disrespected like this. Not by someone pretending to ask honest questions." Joy's confidence wavered. "I didn't disrespect you." "Yes, you did." Denzel's voice sliced through her protest. "You didn't ask. You attacked. You didn't challenge. You condemned. And now you're calling it journalism." Joy flushed, cornered. The other host shifted uncomfortably. Whoopi broke in, desperate. "Okay, let's take a commercial." Joy ignored her. "No, let's finish this." Her voice trembled with fury or fear. It wasn't clear. "If your faith can't stand a few hard questions, then maybe it's not as strong as you think." Denzel's face changed. The room fell silent. The moment turned. His voice was quiet now, deadly quiet. "Let me tell you what strength of faith looks like." He took a step forward. Not threatening, commanding. "My faith carried me through poverty, through racism, through this industry trying to chew me up and spit me out. It taught me to love people who never loved me, to forgive people who've attacked what I hold sacred." He paused. The room held its breath. "But what it didn't teach me is to sit silent while someone tears it down on national television in the name of progress." Joy's face twisted. Rage. The mask was slipping. The studio was still, the air thick with something unspoken and irreversible. Joy crossed her arms. "Denzel, I think you're being incredibly dramatic. I'm just asking you to consider that maybe some of your beliefs are outdated." Denzel's voice sharpened as he sat straighter in his chair. "And I'm telling you, you don't get to decide what's outdated. You don't get to sit in a position of media privilege and declare that the values that built strong families, strong communities, and yes, this country, are somehow toxic. Joy leaned forward, her voice rising. Those same values were also used to justify slavery, to keep women from voting, to uphold segregation. So yes, Denzel, maybe some of those values are toxic. The studio went still. Even the camera operators froze. This wasn't just a tense moment. It was a full-on confrontation unraveling live on national television. Denzel's expression turned cold. Joy, are you seriously comparing my faith to slavery? Are you honestly suggesting that belief in God and family, in personal responsibility, is the same as systemic oppression? I'm saying people have used religion to justify horrific things. Joy shot back, her voice trembling now. And maybe it's time we stop pretending those beliefs are always sacred just because they're old. Denzel didn't miss a beat. And people have used atheism to justify horrific things. People have twisted politics, science, even freedom to justify evil. By your logic, everything should be abandoned because someone somewhere abused it. Joy's cheeks flushed. That's not what I meant. And you know it. Then what do you mean, Joy? Denzel stood, towering over the table. Because for the last 15 minutes, you've done nothing but attack my faith, my values, my right to believe. So tell me, what's your real point here? Joe rose to meet him, voice cracking with frustration. My point is that maybe, just maybe, some of your beliefs are harming people. Maybe they're holding us back. Maybe some of the old ways of thinking need to die. The word hung in the air like a bomb. Denzel stared at her, thunder behind his eyes. When he spoke, his voice was low but unwavering. You just said my faith needs to die. The beliefs that have carried me through poverty, racism, every challenge this industry has thrown at me. You want those to die. Joy's face went pale. I didn't mean it like that. I meant outdated ideas. No, Denzel interrupted. You meant exactly what you said. You want my faith to die. You want my values gone. And you call that journalism. The other hosts were waving frantically at the crew to cut to commercial. Joy ignored them. Denzel, you're twisting my words. I'm repeating them. He shot back. You said it. You called my faith toxic. You said the values that have guided millions of people through life need to be buried. I don't hate you, she whispered. I just think some of your beliefs are problematic. You don't hate me, Denzel said, his voice steady, but you hate what I stand for. You think it's okay to attack my foundation and still call it fair. That's not journalism, Joy. That's activism. And you've been acting like an activist since the moment I sat down. Joy's expression cracked. Humiliation, rage, confusion, all fighting for control. I have the right to challenge harmful beliefs, she snapped. And I have the right to defend them, Denzel replied, unflinching. But what you don't have the right to do is tell me that my faith, the very thing that's kept me grounded through every storm, needs to die. The studio was dead silent now. The audience sat frozen. The tension was unbearable. Joy looked around. The other hosts were visibly uncomfortable. The crowd was watching, waiting. I think this interview is over, she said finally, her voice barely audible. I think you're right, Denzel replied, standing tall. But before I leave, let me say this clearly. I came here to talk about my work, to share my journey. You turned it into an attack. You crossed the line. I didn't attack anything, Joy said weakly. You told me my beliefs need to die, Denzel said. You called my faith toxic. You implied that what millions of us believe is dangerous. If that's not an attack, I don't know what is. He walked toward the exit. The cameras stayed on him. Just before reaching the door, he turned back. To everyone watching, if you believe in something greater than yourself, if you live by values others may not understand, don't let anyone shame you for it. Don't let anyone tell you that your faith is toxic or outdated. Stand firm. Stand proud. With that, Denzel walked off the set of The View. Joy stood frozen, face flushed with fury and regret, realizing she had just been publicly dismantled by one of Hollywood's most respected figures. The silence was deafening. Even Whoopi, known for her quick wit, seemed at a loss for words. The other hosts looked like they wanted to disappear, and Joy, the one who had started the confrontation, stood there, realizing she'd just made a mistake she couldn't walk back. What do you think? Was Denzel right to stand his ground? Should celebrities defend their values, even when it makes them a target? Or should they stay silent to avoid controversy? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this.